Renowned human rights lawyer George Bizos inspired a former security guard to study law. Fana Mabuza, who is a final year LLB student at the University of South Africa, says he was encouraged by the activist to study international human rights law so he could serve the people. He joins us now on the line to tell us more. Fana, good evening and thank you very much for your time. You describe Advocate George Bizos as a great role model who shaped your career. How did he shape your career?
Oh, good evening, Mr. Mkhuli. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, no, before I talk, I would first like to convey my sincere and heartfelt condolences to Advocate George's family, the Legal Resources Center, to the country at large. I know how much Advocate George Bizos' family loved him. We all loved him so dearly. So my sincere and heartfelt condolences to the family and all South African at large.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, a huge loss indeed. How did he inspire your career?
When I first met Advocate George Bizos, I was posted at Bramfisher Towers in Johannesburg as a security guard, where the Legal Resources Center offices were based before. So it was early in the morning. I'm sitting there at the reception, and then I saw him. He came in. I quickly left everything at the reception. I went to the door. I opened the door for him. And then I greeted him, "Good morning, sir." And then he looked at me with this amazing smile. And then I took him I opened the lift for him. And then I asked one of the friends, and they said, "No, he is working here." And I made a pact to myself that this man has done so much for the country. So it's my way of taking good care of him so that I can be able to express the love and gratitude that we have for him as South Africans. So that's how him and I became close, and like talking to him inspired me in a way. He was a light in the end of the tunnel. You know, for me, he changed my life in a way that I can never imagine.
Fana, tell me, when you were opening that door for him at that time, did you know who he was, and how did you know about him?
Mr. Advocate George Bizos is a human rights lawyer. He represented Dr. Nelson Mandela, Mr. Andrew Mlangeni, you know, the Delmas, Abu Babu, Patrick Likota, Abu Mamwini Madikizela Mandela during the apartheid days. So I just knew who he was, and then I was so happy to see him personally when he came through that door. When I opened, you know, I felt like, oh, I'm opening this door for an icon. He just came in there so peaceful. He greeted us, and then I opened the lift for him, went to his office.
Right. And was doing law at that time in your mind? Were you thinking of going to study law, considering the work that you were doing?
I was not even thinking about that. You know, my job was for me to be a security guard, get a life, and then get a proper job, whatever. You know, and then by talking to Advocate George Bizos, and then there was this other day, him and I were in his office, and then we talking, and then he loved this country so dearly. So we were talking about freedom of the media, freedom of expression, because he wanted me to have the mind to be on the, how can I put it, on the current affairs, yes, on the current affairs. He wanted me to look at the current affairs. That's how he started me, you know, to train me that, no, go to current affairs and then see what's happening in the current affairs. He took it slowly but surely. Now,
when he finally says to you, do me a favor, I want you to study and enroll in studying law, what went through your mind?
I was so scared. I said, I mean, I can't be a lawyer. I mean, they said law is difficult. They said no. And then I said, but do you think I can be? He said, yes, I am. You will do it. You got to do it. And then yes.
Yeah, so what is that one thing that eventually made you to take the plunge and say, I'm signing up, I'm going ahead?
One day, him and I were in his office. So we were talking about freedom of the press, freedom of expression. You know, he was teaching me now. And then he told me that, you know, do you know that media is a cornerstone? Media law is a right, you know, is a cornerstone of the freedom of expression. He said, in this country, you need lawyers who will speak for the media, because a country where a media is oppressed, there is no democracy. And he told me about the previous regime, what place, and then he said to me, if you young people don't stand up for your constitution and the media, you're going down the drain. And then that's the first step that made it know. I said, no, this great giant is telling me something. Like when I spoke to him, it was like I was talking to the voice of God, spoke to him through me. Spoke to me through him, you know. And then I stood up. I said, no, I'm going to register. I'm going to register, and I did.
And now you're in your final year. How did he support you throughout this time?
You know, Advocate George Bizos' office was always open for me. The Legal Resources Center, they took good care of me. I went to the office whenever I needed maybe some notes to print. So that's the love. I got the love. I've got everything, the greatest love of all from Advocate George Bizos in this Legal Resources Center. They supported me throughout.
Now, of course, he was 92. He was quite elderly, but his departure has certainly impacted you. I mean, what does his parting now mean to you? Your work as a student now and getting into the law fraternity and going forward?
You know, there's something that Advocate George Bizos taught me about, something that I will never, ever forget, that I will take it to my grave. He said to me, you know, as South Africans, we are blessed to have this country. All that we can do, if we can just have this spirit of embracing each other while we are still alive.
Yeah.
So you know what I've done, Mr. Mjoli? You know, if you can go through my Facebook page, on his birthday, I always posted him on my WhatsApp status to express the love and gratitude that I have for this old man. So that is why everyone knew how much I love him. So now, all that I can say is that I consider myself so blessed to have been part of such an incredible man's life. He taught me so much. He taught me love.
Yeah.
He was a very loving man. He was so kind. He gave me the greatest love of all. He said to me, you must enroll for international human rights law, then you must also enroll with media law. So, you know, when you've got these two modules, you're looking after the human rights, you're protecting the freedom of expression so that you can have the peaceful and democratic South Africa that we have today. He made me feel so proud that I was South African. You know, I remember this other time he told me about Section 2 of the Constitution while he was taking me through the studies. He said to me, you know what, son? There's this Section 2 of the Constitution, you must read it. And then this other time he said, you read the section? I said, yes. He said, tell me, what does it say? I said to him, you know, sir, the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa is the supreme law of the land or of the Republic. Any law or conduct which is inconsistent with it should be declared invalid, and any obligation imposed by it must be fulfilled. South Africans, if all can stick to Section 2, as Advocate George Bizos said, for this country will be better. Advocate George Bizos loved this country so dearly. He only cared about policies.
Yeah.
That if you can do the policies and love one another, will take this country forward. So those are the things I was blessed to. I'm blessed. It was a privilege. I thank God for spending time with this giant. He taught me so much, South Africa. I thank you. My sincere condolences to everyone who touched. You know,
all right. Fana, listen, we thank you for sharing that story with us today, and thank you very much for the contribution that you're continuing to make in the law space, and we wish you well with your studies, and thank you for coming through tonight. That is Fana there. Fana was, of course, working at the offices of Advocate George Bizos. He is now in his final year of LLB, inspired by this great giant.